All right, Alejandro. Um, I was reading Holibob makes it easy for anyone to sell experiences online. And then I was
That
actually
is
reading
true.
it. Yeah, I was actually reading an article this morning um, from last summer at a revenue management conference. Since I live most of my life in hotels, or try to live in the mind of the hotelier, which probably annoys them, but because I'm not a hotelier. Uh, but I was reading Carrie Carr, who is the senior vice president of asset management at Pebblebrook Hotel Trust. This is what she said last summer. Tightening of margins over the past few years have forced revenue managers to hone in on driving additional revenues elsewhere. The whole article was on ancillary revenues, and so it's a big thing. Because of inflation and all these other factors, what you're bringing to market, not only for um, tours and other brands and stuff, but hotels as well. But why don't we just start off with what problem you set out to solve?
Yeah. And it's a good question. And I'm going to try and relate to that article. So, the first problem that we're trying to solve is that selling experiences online traditionally has been very difficult and has been non converting. It runs into the three main barriers that you see in booking flows, right? One is much of the supply is still held offline, so it's non digitized, and it happens in destination. The data that underpins the supply that is digitized is very disparate, so it's not normalized. And the marketing of experiences has been done incorrectly. And what I mean by that is you were referring to earlier as hotels need to generate ancillary revenue outside of the hotel or outside of the room, because I always say outside of the room. And the problem is they've tried to force the consumer to buy an experience attached to a hotel or even a flight, right? And that's just not the consumer mindset. So that's not how they purchase. And that's what we're trying to solve. We're trying to put experiences back where the consumer will most likely buy them.
Which is where?
It's basically post booking after the fact that you've decided what means of transportation and where you're going. And then it is through channels that the consumer trusts, right? So it is not on the booking engine. It is not through very obscure or very difficult to deliver emails. It's through channels that you use every day, like WhatsApp or SMS or WeChat or Telegram. It has to be relevant to you. It has to be relevant to the party that you are and the reason why you're traveling in the first place. And it has to be delivered just at the right time. So it cannot be 6 months in advance, because data will show that 80% of experiences bookings happen um, about 1 week from consumption. So if you're trying to market an experience to someone that is booking their hotel 6 months in advance, they're not going to convert. And that's just data.
So describe your solution for us.
So basically, what we built is technology that leverages first party and zero party data. So our recommendation engine connects with the hotel's technology ecosystem, whether that is a PMS or an RMS. Wherever that booking data is held, we connect to it. We give the hotelier or their tech team a series of webhooks where they can pass us on the data. And then what we're going to do is create all of the engagement flows with the consumer, so that the day before traveling or the day they arrive at the hotel, we're going to trigger messages that say, get ready for your trip, or are you about to hit the hotel? Well, make sure that you have everything ready. And by the way, if you're thinking about what you're going to do in destination, well, here is an experience for you. And then they start interacting with that. It's a dynamically generated destination page service through WhatsApp that will give you a curated list of things to do based on your booking information and all the interaction that you have with the technology, basically, which we call experiences marketing platform.
So if your booking information is a family of four, you're going to be fed different information than if it's a couple.
Yeah, definitely. So we personalize the shelves and the placements on that destination page based on the time of the day that you made the booking, the actual booking date. So it's all non-PII data to begin with. So it's compliant. It's the destination that you're going to, the party size, how many childs and how many infants. And also we leverage weather data. So when you're presented with the solution, you're going to get a page that says, hey, Jason, welcome to Dallas. The weather is X. So if it's raining, the first thing that you're most likely going to see is a shelf that says touch the rain, and you're going to get potentially a lot of indoor activities so you don't expose your family to the climate.
How do you describe you're different? How are you different than
Well,
what else is available?
I think the status quo approach to this has been, I'll give you kind of a punch out experience that's branded as an OTA that tries to do B2B for C, right? So traditionally, it was B2C companies trying to generate B2B business. And the problem is you have a conflict of interest, right? Because you're getting the supply from a B2C player that wants to own your consumer. So I think the ways we're different are we do it on behalf of the hotel. So we are B2B for C for real. We leverage their brand. We maximize the lifetime value of that consumer. And we basically do a rev share agreement. So they don't have to worry about all of the flows. They don't have to worry about the messaging and the fulfillment. We act as merchant of record to begin with. So they don't have to do all of that work themselves. And it always looks like it's the hotel. So we are protecting that very hard spend marketing money to begin with, so that basically what you do is add ancillary revenue with no cost of the reacquisition of it. Because if you do it the other way, which is how other people have done it, first of all, you have no conversion. And if you have conversion, that client immediately becomes a third-party client. It's not your client anymore.
So how does the hotel make money in this instance?
So it's a rev share model. So we've aggregated the supply and curated it. So we get commission from supplier, and then
Okay.
we do a rev share of that commission with the hotel, and that's 50%.
Okay, got it. So talk to us about some of the results that your clients are experiencing.
Oh, well. So, I mean, since we've launched this, I think the most impressive stats that I can share is you're going to see 95% delivery rate compared to email, which is less than 50. Read rate, like locking rate, is close to 76%, up to 85%. So people not only get it more, they actually interacting with it more. And end-to-end conversion varies depending on the client and depending on the flows that we implement, between 1.3 and 2.5%, whereas the standard in the industry is way less than 1%. So I think that's one thing. The one I'm really impressed about, though, is the opt-out rate we have on the tool, which is less than 0.2%.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I think that what with a specific hospitality client, what we saw is that they had their first booking after 48 hours of going live. And people were not, it's impressive, because the thing is, we were very surprised because their audience was not used to them displaying experiences, right? There was no previous marketing. But the thing is, the message was so contextual to that consumer, and we actually sent them a message just to get a little bit more information on why they decided to buy. But the thing, it was so contextual to the trip, it was so timely, that it was the right time, the right place, perfect to actually get them to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, to wrap up, why don't you tell us about some of your other customers? Because I know you're doing business with more than hotels.
Yeah, so basically for experiences marketing platform, we target all brands, right? So anyone that has zero party and first party data with an original booking can be a customer of experiences marketing platform. At the moment, we have clients already live within the online travel agency, airline, and hotel audiences. We're about to launch a luggage storage client as well. They're tied to short-term rental. We have a short-term rental client coming up as well. And we have a tour operator travel agency as well. And we do have interest from what I call the non-travel platforms, right? So very hyper local, whether that is mobility or whether that is things to do in a city that are very hyper local. So we have a couple of those coming up as well.
Well, very good. Sounds exciting. Alejandro, I want to thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you very much, Jason. Thank you very much for having me today.
You bet.